Welcome to the next edition of Morning Tea with Dr. V. It's my pleasure to be here with a couple nationally recognized experts. And before we get to that, I just want to let you know that I'm here with a team from our district to learn more about this at the State Modified Balance Calendar Summit. And for our district, Mount Vernon, we're actually calling this a student-focused balance calendar. With that, again, I'd love to introduce, first of all, David Hornak, who is the Executive Director of Year-Round Schools. And we also have Dr. Jim Peterson, who is the author of Summer versus School. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm really in love with the state of Washington. We've worked together in the past, and I appreciate the time you're taking to ask us a few questions that'll help maybe educate your learning community.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ditto to that. And I think that the more opportunities we have to discuss this and kind of unravel this, I think the more people will see the benefits, and we'll jump right on board.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you both for being here. And again, I'll start with the first question that I think a lot of people might be asking. What is a balance calendar?
Okay. So we're using the term balance calendar rather than using something called the year-round calendar. When we say year-round calendar, people believe that students and staff will be in school 300 plus days, and that's not the case. A balance calendar takes the 180 school days and spreads them more efficiently across the calendar year. In short, we tend to take some of the time that students and staff are off in the summer and unplug that time and insert it into the calendar year. In other words, there are learning chunks that are approximately 6 to 8 weeks long with a 1 to 2 week break in between. And then that cycle continues for the entire school year. We're not advocating for additional school days. The balance calendar advocates really just speak to balancing the calendar across the calendar year.
And there are different types of models. And I think one of the real imperatives is to figure out what model fits your community the best. There's 45 days on, 15 days off, 45 days on, 20 days off. So you really have to look at the needs of and that's the beauty of this as well, is that there is not one size fits all. The whole purpose is, the unification is this: what to do to stop the summer learning loss that happens over the 10 to 12 weeks during summer.
Yeah, awesome. And again, and like you've both shared, we don't have an idea right now. That's why we want to explore this and learn more about it and see what might work for Mount Vernon schools.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and really the next question is, why should we be exploring this concept of a student-focused balance calendar?
Well, first of all, I would like to, again, compliment you on the fact that you're calling it a student-focused balance calendar. So there are plenty of wins or benefits to the balance calendar. But when you start with students, it's a good thing. And so I believe that, number one, the balance calendar impacts what's called learning loss. And all of our kids regress in the summer and lose some knowledge that they learned from the year before. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, there's quite a bit of unfinished learning that needs to be completed. And the balance calendar provides space to do that. We have some kids in our districts that need 150 school days, and we give them 180. We have others that need 180, and that's exactly what they get. And we have others that need 220 days, but we only give them 180 days. So in short, the balance calendar provides opportunities to extend the school year for strategic kids. Now, the benefits continue to the adults, and I think we're going to end up getting, those questions posed to us here shortly. Jim, do you have any more thoughts on that?
Well, I also like the student part of the student-focused balance calendar, and my recommendation would be this: get to the students and ask them at all of the different target age groups, what do you miss most about school during the summer? And I think if you start that way, you're probably going to have an easier sell, and you can do the same thing for parents as well. What do you miss most about school? And it could be reading, it could be maybe even activities, it could be nutrition, whatever the case is. And then I think that's a great foundation to work on.
Excellent. And that's a great segue really to my next question. And really it's about what is the benefit for students? And with that, it's also what's the benefit for our families and what's the benefit for our staff? So whoever would like to jump in.
I would start with the families. The balance calendar is more in alignment with current lifestyles. I don't know another career that affords people to walk away for up to 13 consecutive weeks in a row. So now a 1 to 2 week break now and then, or a vacation. Yep, I get that. And that's what this calendar does. For the students, again, it's the learning loss and completing some unfinished learning. For the staff, morale is better. I will tell you that I've yet to meet a balanced calendar staff member that elected to leave the balanced calendar. It affords opportunities to be reflective, to recharge. And I will tell you, when you have a reflective practitioner who has been able to look back at where where they've been and where they're going, who's had a chance to rest and recuperate, when they come back to serve their kids, they're going to be more engaging in the classroom, which will impact student behavior. So those are just some of the things top of mind. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I think if we were able to start the creation of the American school system all over, I don't think we would have done this. We wouldn't have created it this way. So the benefit to the students would be, here's an opportunity for the students, since this is a student focused, for them to take some leadership into how their time is being spent. So I think that's great, and that's going to be their legacy. And also just the issue of time itself and addressing the needs. One of the things that I forgot to share today, but the issue of time is something that's out there. We have looking at people who are working remotely, people who are working 4 days a week. But another issue that's happening is, and I would have never thought this would occur, is the discussion of daylight savings time. Again, people, I don't know if there were any studies that ever said we were supposed to implement it, but it was. And now we have the other issue of time going, maybe that's not the best thing. And I won't go off on a tangent with that, but it goes back to how we've matured a little bit. We realize time is a commodity. How are we going to use it and escape this bounds of just tradition and rethinking how we could better utilize it?
Excellent, thank you. And you may have answered my next question, but maybe anything to add about what are maybe some of the benefits to having a student-focused balanced calendar?
Yeah, so I truly believe the benefits are across the board. And, in general, it's better for the kids academically. The adults thrive in this particular setting. And then the families, it marries better with current lifestyles. So in short, there are many, many, many other benefits, but those are the three that come in.
Yeah, definitely academic. We already talked about learning loss, but also social and emotional learning. So we've taught our children to be able to be communicative, to share their emotions and feelings. What happens during that 10 to 12 weeks when they're not there? We've already put all these things in place, and we want to make sure that we continue with that. I mean, school has taken on, we've always known public education has always been the panacea for everything. Whatever ills our country, whether it's learning about racism, learning about diversity, nutrition, sexuality, all those things our school system has always addressed. And that's one thing I'm very proud of in our country. So here we have another opportunity too to take it to the next step, where I think we're looking at schools really as being comprehensive in all facets, academically, socially, and physically and emotionally.
Excellent. Yeah, and I remember one here, and also just that whole school life balance. And again, there's a word again, balance. The other one is, I really want to be transparent here. What are some of the challenges maybe of having a student-focused balanced calendar?
Well, there's some perceived challenges with the calendar, and it really goes back to, I think, our lived experiences. So we all grew up at a time where it's likely we had breakfast and we went outside and we played all day, and we came home when the streetlights came on. And that was kind of how we thrived all summer long. And our parents and guardians who are now serving the kids that you have in your schools, I bet are still somewhat longing for those days, because they were good days. Those were some of the best days. But our kids now are connecting with one another virtually and through gaming systems and cell phones. I don't think they're going outside. So that is a huge barrier we have to overcome. There are some other perceived barriers, like it's more expensive. That's not the case. there, and Jim, you and I have talked about some of the other ones, but the reality is, we can sit down and problem solve through any type of concern, and take it to a point where you can either rule that in as a viable concern or something that is more of a perceived concern.
But the challenge I think that we all face is the challenge of change. Anytime you change anything, there are going to be those challenges and those naysayers. I think that there are people who want specific data for certain things, and the data is easily manipulated. 4 out of 5 dentists who said that chewing gum was okay. Where's that other 5th dentist, and what about those other 4? Excuse me for the humor, but so I think that's a challenge. But I don't, as David said, nothing. If you get enough people who care and are smart and get them together in one room, especially your community, you know your community and your needs, I think you're going to be able to find some really good solutions. And I think you're going to find that there's actually more opportunities for this. So there are some challenges, but those lazy days of summer, those halcyon days of when we all remembered, those are gone, and I don't think they're going to return because we don't even look at supervision of children the same way. Mm-hmm. The age of when you would leave your child alone for when maybe we grew up is a lot different today. I was left alone very young. I would never do that for my own children now. Yeah. So because that's changed, I think we have to keep up with the times.
Excellent. Thank you. And just a couple more questions. The other one, are there other districts in our state that are exploring this concept?
Hey, we have between 30 and 40 school districts at this Balanced Calendar Summit right now. And if they're not all here, we have connected with them through the grant process, the state grant process. Jim and I virtually are supporting districts as needed. So I'll tell you, we're happy to Zoom in, and answer any questions that you or your learning community may have about this topic. And we're committed to supporting you wherever you need the support.
Absolutely. And we're definitely going to take you up on that when the time comes.
Yep.
For sure. So anything to add on that? Or?
No, I think the only other thing that I would like to add is just that as diverse as this state is, that's all the different things that are being taken into consideration for the calendars. Looking at perhaps maybe some local dates that are maybe that should be either in session or out of session. So looking at those from a specific community-based approach and creating your own calendar instead of just inheriting what has always been around, really looking at the needs and saying, hey, we could actually benefit from this.
Excellent. Yeah, and that really is kind of my last question, that what are other factors that we should maybe consider or a community should consider?
So out of the gate, I often urge communities to look at the non-negotiables. What is something that you want to be off for that you haven't been off for in the past, and then work out from there? So in one of the sessions earlier today, someone said that the county fair or local fair is really important to them. And it happens like the 3rd week of August. And I said, okay, well, work that in. That's time when you're off. And if you're not off, kids come in late, they leave early, or they're just preoccupied by those activities all week long. So you might as well take it off. But that's what I would do. And Jim's got some pretty creative thoughts about this, but really look at those times of the year when you really want to be off, then set it. You're off that time. That'll take one of those weeks out of the summer, and then you build out accordingly. It doesn't hurt to talk to your neighboring districts as well. I think that, the more closely aligned calendars you have, you're able to circumvent or move around some of the perceived barriers, which can be, I live in one community, I teach in another, my kids go to another. That makes it, there's a lot of moving parts there.
So, yeah. And on that note, really quick, we're meeting with our county superintendents, and this is one of the topics on the agenda. Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, as David said, working backwards like that or those non-negotiables is important. And I think you actually may find out it's going to be strengthened communities. Because right now, it's really holidays,
Mhm.
and holidays are very family oriented. So you don't have enough time to do community stuff sometimes. So now you're making these breaks that you could schedule around harvest season or whatever the case, whatever the county fair or whatever. So it could have the opposite effect, which is what you want to bring to strengthen communities.
Excellent. Well,
Jim also, on the same topic, mentioned something earlier today that is pretty powerful. You might look at your current attendance over the last 5 years and find those pockets of time when your attendance tends to sag. Then look at what's happening in your region during that period of time, and that might help you work backwards as well. So
It's also great data. So this way, when the parents say, "Why did you choose this?" Historically, we found this to be some problem areas, and now you're going to have people who are going to be proponents.
excellent. Yeah, again, we're going to definitely look at the data. And really with that, I just want to thank you both for taking the time to join me in this edition of the Tea with Dr. V.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.